The interest rates are 8%. Is now the time to buy? You're probably wondering, okay, what's going on with the market and how and when do I navigate when I want to purchase or when do I want to sell my home? So I wanted to give you just a little bit of insight. I would say I tend to be a little bullish when it comes to the real estate market, just because I did go through the 2008 bubble, and that was really difficult. But I'm seeing all those folks that bought during that time are really happy that they did and are doing extremely well now, right? In terms of the price range on their properties and the appreciation that they were able to realize. And so take what I'm about to say, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, take it with a grain of salt because I am a little bullish on the market. I do tend to be more optimistic. I generally come from a place of there's never a bad time to buy property. It might be a bad time to sell property, depending on what's going on with the market. So having said that, as my disclosure, I do think that as we're getting into this fall season, I mentioned it in one of my other videos, but to me, if you are someone that thinks that you're going to want to buy within, let's call it the next 6 months, I would highly suggest you look at your situation and determine whether between now and the end of the year could be a good time for you. The reason why I say this is because this is the end of the season. The winter season tends to be a cooling off time for the real estate market. So most people, they've stopped house shopping and now they're Christmas shopping, right? And so their focus is taken off the market and they figure, oh, I'll come back at the first of the year. Well, if you're a buyer and you're actively out there looking for property, this is a great time to negotiate a deal. And so even though the inventory is still pretty tight, you can still get a good deal, and especially because typically sellers that are going to be on the market during November, December, there's a have to behind why their property is on the market, right? Most people, they don't want to have people coming in and out of their house, having open houses during the holiday season. So the fact that the house is on the market at all is an indication that there's probably a pretty motivated seller there. And so if you're the buyer on the buying side, then that's a good chance for you to negotiate some pretty good rates. So something to consider for those of you that are interested in buying, like I said, within the next six months, let's call it, even with the interest rates being higher. And the reason I say that in one of my other videos, I talk a little bit about that 2-1 buy down. And so if you're looking at 8% or just about 8%, to be honest, 8% is with great credit, 20% down. Like, so really it ticks up maybe 8.1, something like that. So not a great time for that, but you're not without options, I think is my main point here. And even though you're seeing that 8%, that 2-1 or even a 3-1 buy down where the seller is helping you get that interest rate lower for a period of time so that you can take advantage of the ability to negotiate for a better rate and for a better price on the home and then refinance out of it is something that I would say to take a look into. So something to consider there. The other advantage that you might want to take a look at in terms of buying at the end of the year is some of the tax advantages. So a lot of the things that you are required to pay in terms of purchasing a home, you can look at that, your closing statement, take that to your tax person and see how much of that might you be able to deduct. I don't want to give any tax advice. I'm not a tax person, but there are a lot of tax advantages. And so if you want to be able to take advantage of that early next year, as opposed to having to wait a whole year, this is another reason why it's potentially a really good time to be actively in the market. The other thing here in Texas is we do have homestead exemption. So in order for that homestead exemption to be able to be, and this homestead exemption just allows you to reduce your property tax liability. And it protects your home from any creditors and things like that. So I'm happy to do another video around that. But in order for you to exercise that homestead, you do have to own the property by January 1st of that year. The other thing to look into if you're interested in new homes and new construction is those end of year incentives. These builders need to get some of these homes off of their books, right? It's Q4 for many of them. And so they want to be able to go into the new year with a positive outlook on the future quarters projection. So a lot of incentives happen at the end of the year. I will tell you, I'm already seeing them where I think in another one of my videos I talked about the fact that Highland Homes at the time had a $12,000 buy down incentives where you could use it towards closing costs or you can use it towards buying down your rate. 3 weeks later, that went up to 15,000. I think we're going to continue to see those increases and those incentives. Another community, which I haven't reviewed yet, it's on my list, but they give not only a buy down, I think it was around, at least a couple of weeks ago, it was about 12,000 for the buy down, and then another 25,000 in upgrades and things. So if you wanted to upgrade some of the features in your home, they would give you that as well. So I think we're going to see more and more of that as we get into the cooling off season in the real estate market. And so there are some people that are going to get an opportunity to take advantage of it. And if you're in the market, why not that be you? So something to consider, a lot more ability to negotiate, not more incentives for the new builds, and things like that you're probably not going to see if you wind up waiting till the spring, or you wait until the market actually does start warming up in terms of interest rates start ticking down, things like that. You're going to likely be in a situation where you're competing against other buyers who were on the fence as well. So something to consider. Again, I say this with, a little bit of grain of salt here. I am very bullish on the real estate market in general. I'm very optimistic about it. So you have a lot of people on YouTube that are talking a lot of different things about what's going on. Some of them are saying it's a bubble and it's going to crash and burn, and it's going to be a fire. So I'm not one of those people. Even in 2008, when I was doing real estate at that time too, we never really saw that much of even a fire sale. Yes, we did see price depreciation, but it wasn't like a home that was, 600,000 went down to 4. That was not the case. So what I would encourage you to do is look at your specific situation and determine when is the best time for you to purchase, and then make a wise decision for you. So hope that's helpful. Happy to give more specific information. Feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I will see you in the next video.